Hello, Russell Pearce here for CCS. Thanks very much for joining us on Thursday, the 10th of June. I've got the lovely Denise Hodgson with me from Reminiscence Learning, and we'll talk to her in a moment. Hi, Denise. Just to say that it's Carers Week this week, so we're specialising in talking to carers. Today it's all carers, but particularly with regard to those who are helping those with dementia. So I've also got the lovely Mel Rose as my assistant. She's going to be doing chat down the right-hand side. And down that right-hand side, anything you want to ask, and there's also information with regard to organisations that can help with regard to caring and with regard to dementia. And before going to Denise, just to say two things really. One, if you are feeling burnout and you are feeling things are difficult with regard to being a carer, do get in contact with us, Community Council for Somerset. Telephone number 01823 331 222, and we can help to put you in contact with other carers, signpost you for advice, any advice that you might need with regard to benefits or anything that can help you. So if you are experiencing problems, do come to us, 01823 331 222. So during the talk, Mel is going to be putting details of the chat down the right. And so coming to Denise, I'm a Home First agent with CCS, which means that I help people get out of hospital. And then we've got a marvellous 50 to 55 village agents throughout the whole of Somerset that link up and know what's happening with regard to the communities. So that's me. Denise, thank you very, very much for joining me. Who are you? What's Reminiscence Learning? Tell me everything.
Okay, well, my name's Denise Hodgson. I actually live in Yeovil. Reminiscence Learning is in Wellington. I retired 3 years ago, but as you can probably tell, I'm not retired. I found retirement rather tedious and perhaps lonely and a little boring even. So, and I'm not a teenager because teenagers find everything boring. But I'm a teacher or a lecturer at a local college for 12 years. And before that, I worked in mental health, mainly with adults, so mainly with people with enduring mental health problems. And this has been my very first experience. I mean, all of the basics for health and social care are similar, whether you're working with children, adults, or older people. But Reminiscence Learning is a charity. It's almost 20 years old. It's coming up in the next couple of years to being 20 years old. So it's out of its teens.
Fantastic. And if I were a carer and wanted help with my partner, whoever I was with regard to dementia, what would I get from Reminiscence Learning? What's on offer? Okay,
so what Reminiscence Learning provides for the loved one, I will say. So they provide a service which is called they call it RAS. So it's about reminiscence activities. It's a day centre. They do that at the moment because of COVID. We've been open a long time. Most day services aren't open yet, but we've been open for a long time. I can't quite tell you how many weeks, but quite a lot of weeks. And very, very into, cleaning hands and we don't sing happy birthday every time because it gets a bit tedious, but we do sing it rather a lot because singing is good for the brain and we know that.
Yeah.
So what would happen is you get in contact with Reminiscence Learning, and in the minute it's only okay if you live in Wellington, Taunton, or within a reasonable amount of miles to receive the service. Okay. Fiona Mahoney, who is the chief executive, she will come out and do an assessment, and then the journey begins. People are offered a day in. When they come in, they come in for maybe 9:30. We have breakfast. I've been covering some of the shifts, although it's not really my role. So they've got some new people coming very soon. But I've not done frontline work for quite some time. But I'm having the time of my life.
Brilliant.
Organising activities and, you know, doing some keep fit and doing craft. It's been lovely. So they come in, they have their breakfast, and we often do like wake and shake. Sometimes it's quite busy and shake, and sometimes we can exercise, to be fair, to music for about half an hour. It's quite incredible, where people might be mostly sat down. I know they go home pretty much exhausted, but that's not.
So in terms of activities, Denise, you're saying there with regard to music and crafts, what other things do you do as well? I see that there's woodland in there as well, and there's other options. What else does it do?
I was going to say, today is the day, Thursday, they go to Forest School. So they go to Forest School, and I've never been. So, but I do know, because we run a carers group, we do that on Zoom, and since we've been back open, if I say to people, what's brought you joy this week? So that's kind of the basis that I would work on anyway. What's made you laugh? What's made you smile? So in the positive, and what's brought you joy? Most of the time, the carers will say, oh, Forest School was a blast, because they go to Forest School together with their loved one. So the carer goes and the loved one, and they are sometimes, you see, I can't really tell you the whole ins and outs of it because I've never been, but I listen to what they're telling me. Sometimes they're clearing area, ready to make something else. They've made Christmas trees out of pallets.
Wow.
It goes on there. They've been painting stuff. They've shifting in rubble, and it's very physical, but they all love it. They all love it.
How lovely. It's a lovely question you ask, what has made you happy and what has been good? Because what would you say is one of the main challenges?
Okay, what's giving you joy? There's a difference to be good, from good to joy. So I don't mean to put you put you down, but very joy, happy. To notice joy can be in a moment and then it can be gone. But to notice joy you're part way there. Now, when I first started doing it with the carers, everybody talked about, well, I had to do this and I had to do that. And the other thing I would do is become very person-centered, just like when you're working with an individual. So it's not true what I say, but I'm not interested in what you're doing for your loved one in this group. I'm interested in what you're doing for you. So what kind of me time are you taking? And because giving people permission for me time is all important, because carers often feel terribly guilty if they're not doing it all of the time, or they're not feeling positive. And we've talked about many books as well, and one of my favorite books for carers is The Selfish Pig.
The Selfish Pig?
It's written by a man who cared for his wife, and it's a very good book. So we've talked about that book, and most people have got it, or they're sharing it. And then one of the carers, called Dean, he said, have you got the book Knickers in the Fridge? I haven't, and still I haven't, but I do intend to get it. And
Knickers in the Fridge, I will get it. I will get it.
Yeah.
So tell me, Denise, in terms of individuals, it must be very, very difficult to get the diagnosis of dementia and then read about it. One of the things that I've seen and experienced is that everybody is unique and different in the way that their symptoms manifest. So that if you were saying to a carer just one or two main pieces of advice, what would they be?
Thing is, as well, often people don't realise initially that they're carers. So their role has just changed a bit, but they really need to be obviously getting a diagnosis. But it's not enough to be told dementia, because dementia is the umbrella term, and you need a better diagnosis in that, because you need to know, have you got Alzheimer's, or have you got frontal lobar dementia? Have you got I'm struggling now for a minute. What kind of dementia have you got? Because all of the signs and symptoms these ones are similar. But for example, if you have Parkinson's, the dementia for Parkinson's, you might hallucinate and be delusional some of the time in the
Right.
early phase, in the starting phase. There are 3 stages of dementia. So obviously 1, 2, 3, but it's when you get to the end of the second stage that things, especially in Alzheimer's, that things become more and more difficult to manage at home. And of course, lots of people's wishes are to stay at home. So that's when they need lots of help. But since I've been working with some of the carers, they've learned about micro providers. They've been getting help with their attendance forms. Some of them are helping each other because actually some of them are caring for their husband or wife or partner, but they've already cared for a mum or a dad. So they come, it's like expert patients. They are expert carers. These are the best people to go to when you first become a carer. And of course, carers are entitled to an assessment. There's legislation from the year 2000. They're entitled to an assessment.
Yes, I'm delighted, Denise, that you said about micro providers and resources and attendance allowance, because again, that's something that we can help with. So that if people feel that they need to find micro providers or help with regard to benefits, do contact us. It's something that we can help with.
Yeah, in the carers group, we had two solicitors join us, and we have a lot of fun, but sometimes we have some very serious meetings, and people wanted to know about power of attorney. So the solicitors came in and talked about power of attorney, and they stayed in talking in the room, Zoom room, for a good 3/4 of an hour, explaining and answering all the questions that the carer had. So it's a good thing. And we've had village agents in. We've had a couple of village agents in the room as well, to help people understand what kind of stuff.
Because I know back in April, the lovely Debbie Slater interviewed you. You did a Sydney cafe there, and you were talking about the Butterfly Project.
Oh yeah, I was hoping.
Can you tell us a bit about the Butterfly Project?
I'd absolutely love to, because it's because of COVID, it's been cancelled, but it's cancelled because it was happening this summer. But actually, we've got online training at the moment, which goes on this month, and then that part of the project ends. So if people are interested in the training, which is dementia awareness, and it's not over taxing, it's on for 2 hours, and we make butterflies at the end. So if you're interested, go on to Reminiscence Learning website under the heading activities, and it will tell you how to go about it. But you can phone up Reminiscence Learning, and they will help you anyway. But it's through Somerset Skills and Learning, and we obviously get funding to do the big project. Woo! So I needed to say that bit first. But the Chrysalis Butterfly Project,
there it is.
So it's happening next year, but before it can happen, there are 8 hubs around the county, so it's a county-wide effort. And these are, I hope I can remember them all. There's Burnham-on-Sea, Bridgewater, Taunton, Glastonbury and Street, Minehead, Chard, Yeovil.
Always the one. Langport?
No. Never mind. It might come to me in a minute.
7 out of 8 is not bad.
Yeah, it's not too bad. And each one of those, so what happens next now after the training, which is still on, we will be doing pop-up workshops in the county, 2 in each part. So like, for example, 2 pop-up workshops in Yeovil, and we've got Somerset Carer coming on board to do the training as well. So some of the activities coordinators at Somerset Carer are doing our training. And each area has their own artist from Go Create, working in tandem with a worker from Reminiscence Learning, are doing pop-up workshops to show people how to make, or tell them what kind of butterflies. I mean, these are the butterflies we make online. I've got it handy here.
Beautiful. Did you make that?
Yeah.
Nice.
I've made so many. I couldn't do it to start with, but I've made so many now. So we're hoping to make 9,000 butterflies.
Wow. Why 9,000?
Well, it's not the set figure, but we think it's a good benchmark for people with dementia in Somerset. But I would say it's more, usually more, because not everybody understands what's going on and has been to the doctor yet, or maybe won't ever go.
Yeah.
So each hub is going to make 1,125 butterflies, and there's going to be a massive installation in Wellington in April next year. And each hub has got their own theme. So I can tell you a couple of themes if I go. I don't know if I'm talking too much, but a couple of themes.
Not at all. You carry on.
Bridgewater is having carnival theme. So it's having beautiful, beautiful fireworks and something around the carnival. And some of the artists might say, we want, I don't know, turquoise and yellow butterfly. So we're waiting for the artist to tell us really what colour they want. In Yeovil, it's actually going to be Montacute House, and there's already a beautiful drawing of Montacute House that Liz has done. And I don't quite know how she's going to present it, but I know that it's going to have, all of them are going to have they're going to have a backdrop, and then the flowers will come out on wires, or it's going to be breathtaking, but it's very hard to tell people how it's going to be so wonderful.
How absolutely beautiful. It makes me think that it's so important, just because somebody has got dementia, not to be able to concentrate on being able to do other things, and to be able to concentrate on doing other things and take your mind off it for sort of care must be so useful.
Yes, definitely. So our carers did this training that I'm talking about, the butterfly training, and we are hopeful that it's going to be great. So what's going to happen is, I have to look at this because I've not got this in my brain properly yet. So on the 1st of April, it's nothing to do with the public. The installation will take place. Remember, these 9,000 butterflies, plus there will probably be more than, need installed. And I do know that they're saying about Wellington is going to be the monument, and it's going to have the butterflies going around this monument.
Wow.
I've seen a little example of the monument, but somebody's making it for the artist, and it's going to have little bricks on it. And we're going to be able to put names of people who are either caring or who have a diagnosis of dementia, Alzheimer's, whatever. And then the next event will be on the 2nd of April, and it will be a celebration dinner, and there will be tables in around this installation. So that will be the first grand event. I think there's going to be black tie, and I don't know, there's going to be other stuff. I mean, it's a dinner, so it's going to be quite nice. And obviously, we all will pay to go, but won't it be nice to dress up if we don't get the opportunity before then? And on the Sunday, that's a Saturday, on Sunday the 3rd, there's going to be a family fun afternoon. And also there's going to be a giant jigsaw, and the businesses will buy a piece of the jigsaw to advertise their business, and we will put that jigsaw together at that event. So those pieces will be bought by businesses. And on the Monday, there is going to be a musical extravaganza and afternoon cream tea. So the theme of the whole thing is a day out. So every single place, Burnham-on-Sea, that's the other one. I didn't say Burnham-on-Sea. Burnham-on-Sea is the other one. And every single place will have somewhere we could go in Somerset, in and around. So afternoon tea and extravaganza, so all kinds of different music from colleges, maybe music from schools, maybe the local drama group, I don't know. And that's still in progress, but there is a project plan and everything is coming together quite nicely.
Denise, that sounds absolutely fantastic. I can't wait for that. just changing the subject for a moment to the actual carers watching. In terms of when things does get too much, and I said obviously contact CCS 01823 331 222, but also any tips or hacks to help when things are going too bad. I mean, a couple that village agents have told me that are so important that I've seen in my own life is number one, to have a network of support. So friends, relatives, and also you can connect to other people in your area. So you've got somebody to talk to and offload on.
Absolutely. I think quite a few people in this when you're feeling overwhelmed and close to burnout, you need to be able to talk. And there's nothing wrong with talking to the Samaritans. There's nothing wrong with talking to Mind. Mind are there. And I know some of the Mind volunteers that do the phone calls, they've done our training because they are speaking to people who are caring for people with dementia and people with dementia that are living on their own. And they've come along to gain, and I suppose the word's an insight into what or how to behave if they're dealing with somebody with dementia. So it's about talking, and it's about that in mental health generally. It's about not keeping it in. It's about letting it out, and it's about the group that I work with. At one stage, they were feeling the loss of the loved one. They're here, the people are still here, but the loss of the person. So you look at the person, it's still the same person, but feeling the loss. So we did a great big 5 or 6 weeks, and I kind of wrote a PowerPoint after we'd done everything that they wanted to try and understand. So we looked at guilt, and we looked at all of those things. That's where me time comes from. So we talked a lot about loss and the loss of control. And one of our people would say, we'd say, "How are you today?" And he'd say, "Well, I'm all right. I can't say I'm same old like that." And really feels low at times, very, very low at times. Left to do everything, you see. And sometimes people can't understand why they're left to do everything, and that this person's not doing anything. And sometimes it's difficult to help understand because they're seeing their loved one. It'd be like if I had it, and people would look at me and think I look like Denise, but I would be drifting away in a different place completely. And
so it's important to feel and understand that sense of loss that people have. And also, as you were saying with regard to carers, even though they're doing a tremendous amount, to be kind to themselves and realise they're doing their best.
Absolutely. And in that book I talked about, The Selfish Pig, I'm not getting any commission from the book, by the way, just so you know.
Although Knickers, you've got to read Knickers next. Knickers.
Yeah, I have. In that book, he talks about what he said. I saw him speaking at a conference, and he said, "Shamefully, I wanted to push her down the stairs. Shamefully, I wanted to push her down the stairs," and that's kind of how he said it. And then he said, I breathed that in, and I felt the guilt for days. He didn't push her down the stairs, I just need to tell you that. But that he was be open and honest. And from then on in, he started to write about that feeling of wanting to push her down the stairs and sensing what that meant to him. And more, he then said, "I'm having me time." And every day, for an hour and a half, he locked himself, not literally, but he said, "I'm going to work now. Here's a sandwich, here's a cup of tea or a glass of squash. I'm going to work now." And he'd go into another room, and that's how he wrote his book, whilst he was caring for his wife for 44 years or something like that. And he wrote his book, and eventually she had to go into a care home, which broke his heart. And he wrote that as well in the book. So it's his journey. But I think there are quite a few books. It's just that I'm familiar.
It's brilliant that people admit those feelings, because everybody in life has negative feelings about their partner or their work colleagues or whatever. Doesn't mean they'll act on them.
Yeah. I mean, that's why it's very beneficial to talk about it, isn't it? Especially in the moment. It's very, when you feel you can't go on or you feel despair almost.
Yes.
Then it's about, where are those numbers that Russell told us about? Where are those numbers? Who is it I'm going to phone? Or I phoned mine last time. That was good. Or I didn't really like mine. Is there anyone else I can phone? I'm sure they don't say I didn't like mine, but it's about finding what suits you best. And
Yes.
if you phone Samaritans, everybody's called Joe. It's Samaritan, so you don't get chance to be over involved with that person because everybody's called Joe for their safety, but also for that kind of. Well, it's anonymous, isn't it? If you and I were doing it, we'd be on shift, but we'd be called Joe.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's horses for courses. Some people might like the personal touch and have carers networks and talk to other carers. Other people, you can sometimes say more to complete strangers. I was also thinking that just in the immediate, when things do get too much, there's breathing exercises. You can take deep breaths and just have, as you say, some me time, just a cup of tea, just 5 minutes to yourself to recharge your batteries. Be kind to yourself.
Yeah, I'm in my own right. I'm a laughter yoga facilitator. The carers haven't actually wanted to do that. So, and I mean, we laugh about it, but I've done relaxation with them. So it's on Zoom. So some people really loved it. Well, there were quite a few people not sleeping as well, and I introduced them to the idea of apps. And I'm not saying they didn't have apps, but perhaps didn't know there was apps that could help them with sleep. And it's changed. Two people's sleep style. It's changed. They're able to use it. Now, what somebody said first when you're using it, well, I had to wait until it finished, so I couldn't go to sleep. And I said, oh, no. You don't have to wait until it finishes. It just takes you gently off to sleep. Yeah,
I love the idea of yoga laughing, yogic laughing. So you lead that. And so everybody enjoys that because it's a little bit difficult being English. Actually, you go to the mad laughing. Is that right? Or enthusiastic laughing?
You do exercising in your, you exercise your throat through laughter and you work through your body. So you do warm up like you do any exercise, and then you just take on board that you are exercising. It does make you very hot. And I'm laughing at Chard this afternoon. So I'm in a field and I'm so excited because I've not laughed with people. And I said to my grandson, I'm laughing on Thursday in a field, And he said, Nan, out of context, he's nearly 19. Out of context, that sounds so bizarre, And I said, well, I am laughing in a field. Not I'm going to a field to laugh on my own, am I? So, yeah, that is good for people. I've laughed with psychiatrists. So, and they rate it.
Fantastic. It's good that what you were saying with regard to apps as well, because people can bring their ideas and the things that have worked for them. And then on that basis, they can all share together with lots of ideas and hacks.
Oh dear, definitely. And I think that the carers that come to the carers group have shared recently were places to go in Somerset. So they were, we set the task between us. Nobody's really in charge of it. We set the task and we came back and we talked about places to go. So I recorded it whilst we were writing it down, whilst we were doing it. And then I put that on a PowerPoint and sent it to them. So they've got, so that they don't forget, because they're so busy with things. And this week we've decided we're going to look for summer activities that are on around the county. Well, it's much more Taunton, Wellington end, but I tend to say what's going on around here, Yeovil, if there is anything. So.
Lovely. I'm pleased, Denise, you said about local activities, because obviously now that we are coming out of lockdown, hopefully, the best thing to do if people want to know what's happening with regard to activities is to contact CCS 01823 331 222, because then we the whole time get to know when things are opening up. And it will be lovely as the summer comes hopefully, and stays. People go outside. Nature being so wonderful and good for everybody's health.
Definitely. And there's always been evidence, but more and more now since the pandemic, there's evidence to say that if you exercise in green space, it's far better for your mental health than it is going to the gym. So exercising in green space, exercising in the gym is fine, but for your mental health to exercise in green space is much more beneficial. So,
well, Denise, unfortunately, we're coming to an end. All good things, all good, joyful things must come to an end. But before we do, is there anything you'd like to say finally with regard to reminiscence learning and what's coming up?
well, I think we've already talked about the Chrysalis Butterfly Project and making butterflies. But please, if you do feel that you want to go on this course, there's one every day next week. It's only a 2-hour workshop. Go to our website, or I could do the phone number, but it's easier to go to the website.
There's the website, and then it's a course online, is it?
It's Zoom, yeah, it's Zoom. Yeah. So come on to Zoom, and we do the dementia umbrella. We talk about this person, Archie.
His name?
Archie, he's the mascot of.
I was going to say Arnold. It's Archie, isn't it? Of course it is.
Yeah, and we learn about dementia through Archie and a lady called Elsie case studies, and then obviously we learn a little bit about the signs and symptoms and a few of the illnesses, but it's an awareness. It's only an awareness. Lovely. But Archie is a lovely companion. I'm very attached to him. He's been laughing with me all the way through the pandemic because we've been doing that on Facebook, you know.
A lot of laughing. Denise, it's been an absolute pleasure for you to be here and for me to talk to you. I'd just like to say, lovely to see you. I'd just like to say in closing, if anybody out there wants to know what's going on or needs some help, wants to connect with other people, do get in contact with us and do try reminiscence learning and do try the butterfly. It's been lovely to see you. Have a lovely day.
Okay, thank you very much indeed.
All the
Bye-bye.
best.
Take care.
Take care. Have a great day. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Goodbye.